very enthusiastic about meeting you. Officially, let me
Lovely to meet you too.
Welcome you back to UNH.
Thank you.
I understand you've been here for a read-through of
Yes.
Trojan Barbie,
Yes,
upcoming
that's right.
on, I believe, the 21st of April is opening night. Yes, let me project that date just a little more. That's the 21st of April, running through Sunday night, I believe. How many performances altogether?
5.
Looking at the cast members. They're in the days. Well, in any case, get your tickets early, go often. It's going to be wonderful. And today I have a sort of program of questions, but the program could go right out the window if we have more questions from you. So we'll see how it goes. I thought I would begin by asking Christine, who has invited me to call her Christine, if she likes being a playwright.
Oh, that is a big existential question. Well, I like writing plays. I also hate writing plays because there's always that moment. There's always that moment when you're writing where you don't know what you're doing if something's really coming alive. And so, but the things that I really love about it as a path or as a way of life are that you get to work with other people in the theatre. So, for me, I mean, I've always known that writing was my main passion, but there's something about working in the theatre where you're working in an art form where the work can really only come alive with other people, and that juice and the energy that actors and designers bring to you as a writer is so inspiring and wonderful. So I do like being a playwright. It's a kind of up and down life as well, because the relationship between the amount of time it takes to write a play and the amount of time that it goes on stage is very strange. So there's a manic depressive quality to it as well, I guess. Yeah.
Do you find in the creative process that you use a lot of ideas from your collaborators? I know Carol Churchill has been an influence on you, and I know she tends to, or at least has tended to workshop her plays.
Yes.
Is this something that you have tried as well?
Well, it's interesting. I'm kind of coming through a how can I put it? I'm now moving into a much more collaborative phase than I have been as a playwright. So I started life as a musician, really. I played saxophone and played in bands.
Jazz saxophone,
yes,
I think.
I did, yes. And
how many playwrights can say this?
So I started my life as a musician, and I did music direction for theatre, again, because I really love the collaborative work. And in Australia, visual performance and big circus-style performance is a very strong strand in the theatre, and a very... So I worked in that collaboratively with people to kind of devise and perform work. And after a while, I just got incredibly frustrated because spectacular visuals, fantastically physically trained performers, wonderful scenario, terrible text. You know, and I feel that very often one of the problems or weaknesses with auteur-based or director-based or devised work is that the sophistication of the mise-en-scène and spectacle is often so much greater than text, and often words or text are used illustratively to pin together something that's very imaginative and very juxtaposition-based in other ways. So the short version of that is that at that point I thought, I've got to get better at writing so that I can bring something back into the room that's stronger for this kind of theatre that I really love. So at that point, I really focused on my playwriting, but I still did a lot of music. I composed music for some of my earlier plays, and then after a while I thought, I've just got to get this writing thing together. So I kind of went into my writing tunnel. I came to the States to do an MFA in playwriting at Brown, and that was my real dive into that tunnel. And now I'm kind of coming out again, now that the whole kind of blur of a very long graduate school life is behind me. I'm kind of coming out again and thinking anew about how to be a writer in the theatre in a really collaborative way. Because for one thing, that was my first joy, and for another thing, you know, people here who are majoring in theatre will confront this when you leave. The American theatre, in its kind of send a play out to a theatre, put on a play form, is really in crisis. The regional theatre is really dying. There are major kind of funding problems, and I think the time is right for a renaissance that's driven by people coming into the theatre now to get together with each other and figure out how to make the work together, how to build your own aesthetic, how to find new audiences, and how to do theatre in new spaces. So for me, it's an urgent practical question as well as an aesthetic question, which is how to, again, find different ways to work with people. You know, and some of my new projects really reflect this. They're more collaborative, and they're moving into media that are new for me.
Is that the virtual performance factory? You have a commission with them?
Yes.
Would you please say a little bit about this?
Yes.
Because
what is it?
It's marvelous. Please explain.
Okay. So one of the projects I'm working on at the moment that I'm really crazy about, because I don't know how to do it, and that's always exciting, is with a group called the Virtual Performance Factory. And it started life last year, and the deal was, it was a commission for 6 different writers to make a small piece in collaboration with a commercial video design company and live actors. So the brief was, make a 20-minute piece that will be in a room that you can move through like a chat room, like a physical version of a chat room, if you like. And the constraints I was given were to make something that involved virtual performance, so it had a video game element to it, and live interaction with an audience in real time. So not proscenium arch theatre with a fourth wall, but actually interacting with an audience in the space, and also making something that was interactive on a virtual level. So I rolled my eyes. I had no idea how to do this, but I got very excited about it, and I started thinking about the nature of the video game, and started thinking about how does that sit in relation to conventional dramaturgy. You know, so the people who study theatre will know that the Aristotelian version of drama sets up a conflict. You usually have a hero, there's a struggle, there's rising action, there's a problem to overcome. You know, I'm simplifying grossly, but I'm just trying to give you some sense of the recognisable shape of drama is that usually there's a journey, there's a struggle, there's an obstacle to overcome, there's an outcome, resolution, catharsis. Okay, so I think of that in my mind as this kind of shape: rising action, crisis, conclusion. And then I was trying to think about what is the shape of a video game? What's the dramaturgy of a video game?
It's not a well-made play.
It's not a well-made play.
Yeah.
And it has a very cyclic kind of structure. You know, I mean, in a video game, you go in, you fight a battle, you die, you save, you repeat. You go back, you fight a battle, you die, you save, repeat. So it has this kind of cyclic, repetitive structure. Mm-hmm. And I'm someone who really loves the Greeks. So for me, this started me thinking about the kind of cyclic structure of Greek myth and those stories of battle and return. And then those two things came together in my mind to think about how can I make a performance that uses video structure in a contemporary way and puts it against a hero's journey, so the two things really smash together. And I found out that video, contemporary video is, or virtual reality, is used to train soldiers, American soldiers, for war in Iraq, and it's also used in their rehabilitation for recovery from post-traumatic stress syndrome, which again is a kind of structure, a cyclic structure in which people are stuck that repeats like a video game structure. So these became my kind of 3 pegs, you know, the cyclic structure of traumatic memory, the cyclic structure of the video game, and the struggle of a hero to get out of these 2 structures. So that became my template, and the piece that I'm working on is set in a kind of homeless space where the spaces of memory and trauma are signalled through a kind of door of memory into these video game places. So it's kind of a story of needing to revisit traumatic memory and come out the other side, played through inhabiting of a cyclic structure. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but it's what I'm thinking about at the moment. So they're the terms that I'm thinking about it in, and that's what I'm working on. And we plan to do it at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, next spring. It's had its first incarnation as part of a festival there, and then we've been invited back to make a full production out of this strange, homeless video game war story. War. I always write about war. I don't know why. But